Hello dear learner friends, welcome to this module. This is module 19 titled Column Writing and Press Release. I am Dr. Pallavi Gogoi of Krishnakanta Handike State Open University, Guwahati. I welcome you all to this module on column writing and press release as part of the MOOCs on Introduction to Functional English. In the previous modules, you must have gathered sufficient ideas on the structure of writing letters. The present module takes up a detailed study on two different types of writing, namely column writing and press release. Coming to the objectives, the main objectives of this module are to define column writing and press releases, explain the tips and techniques of column writing and press releases, and to identify the different scales of column writing and press releases. What are column and press release? Before discussing the practical tips and techniques of writing columns and press release, let us begin by introducing certain characteristic aspects of the two forms and its significant impact. It is known that newspapers have an extensive outreach to the larger reading public. If we look at a newspaper, its primary role is to report and present authentic and relevant information with regard to the local and regional, national and international contexts. A newspaper must also contain balanced opinion writings, which is generally reflected in the editorial page. For the ease of our reference, a newspaper can be generally divided into two distinct sections. That is, the section containing daily news and the section containing opinion or views. Columns such as editorial columns are written in the views section of newspapers. Besides, columns are also written for various types of magazines that are based on specific subjects or areas. Also, columns find a place in a range of other publications, including blogging sites where columnists can share their writings through the internet. Those who write columns are referred to as columnists, and it is their signature style of writing that make the columns popular and widely read. As columns are meant to be informative and beneficial to the readers, it is without doubt that such writings create a significant impact in the minds and opinions of the readership. On the other hand, a press release is written based on the important news of any institutional or business organization, which, as the term suggests, is released to the press or media for wider publicity or coverage. So now you know what is a press release. While a column can be as inspiring as influential for the wide readership, given the range of topics and issues that it can take up or address, the press release is more official and newsworthy, as it is associated with a particular institutional organization. The style or expression and writing is different for both these forms of writing, as you will see. Each individual has his or her own style of writing, and one's personal voice must come across in a piece of writing, particularly when it comes to column writing. It is important to develop one's own personal style, which is a matter of choice and preference. It is with both time and experience and sufficient exposure to writing that one is able to develop his or her own personal style of writing. I guess you would agree with that. Regarding the writing of press release, it follows a more structured way of writing, generally following a style book and the inverted pyramid style. We'll discuss more about that. In this style, the news and information is provided in the order of importance. The inverted pyramid style addresses the 5 W's that represents the what, when, where, whom, why of a particular news or information, together with the H, which addresses the aspect of how. So you have the 5 W's and H that represents how, the how aspect in a opening paragraph. This is known as the lead. And as Etiole and Anderson mention in their discussion on the inverted pyramid style, quote unquote, the lead should interest readers. The body or middle of the story should hold them to the conclusion. Thus, it is followed by a paragraph on the background, where the readers are provided with explanation of the lead and finally the conclusion. Every newspaper or publishing house or organization has its own style book, which provides with a set of rules, guidelines, and references regarding the standard practices of writing for the benefit of writers, reporters, journalists, various media and publication houses. The style book ensures a consistency, particularly with regard to journalistic writings. To introduce you to column writing, dear learners, as we all know today, the press plays a significant role in the dissemination of information and knowledge, as well as in directing the progress and development of a nation at large. You will be interested to know that during the Indian freedom struggle, the national press had played a major role towards awakening and enlightening the consciousness of the Indian masses. In the newspaper, it is the editorial page, which is also known as the op-ed, that is opinion editorial page, where one finds various reflections of opinion writing. The editorial columns contain a variety of topics under the sun, ranging from politics to socio-cultural aspects, literature and society, development and economy, science and technology, natural environment and sustainability, national and international concerns, etc. The two main purposes of editorials are to provide editorial inputs or comment, and also to develop or enhance public opinion on a particular topic, thereby creating a general awareness and initiating intelligent reading. It provides the regular reader some food for thought so that he or she can reflect on various aspects and develop one's own sense of opinion by taking into consideration various angles, aspects and perspectives on a particular topic, issue or discourse. Thus, a column expresses one's opinions, reflections and perspectives that is supported by verified facts, relevant information, constructive ideas and intelligent examples for the readers. The columns of a columnist features on the same topic regularly in a newspaper, magazine or various other publications. There are various types of columns such as editorial columns, features column, music column, food column, advice column, fashion column, sports column, humor column, opinion column, among a host of others. In many ways, a columnist must have a balanced, neutral and an objective approach towards his or her writing. An interestingly written column is always appealing to the readers, thereby making them more receptive to the knowledge and information that it has to provide. I am sure you too must be interested in well-written columns. So you will find that noted columnists or eminent persons from various fields have a fixed column space to their credit, owing to their well-received columns and their popularity. In fact, editors and publication houses always seek out for the writings of a good columnist, as he or she has the gift of creating an impact in the hearts and minds of the readers. You may also find yourself eager to read certain columns that appear regularly or every now and then in the newspaper, magazine or the publication sources of your choice. It is difficult to skip or miss certain columns written by columnists on an area of our interest, for we consider their words and opinions valuable. Now, some of the widely read Indian columnists are namely Pachi Karkaria, Jag Suraya, Shobha De, Tavleen Singh, T.G.S. George, Sunita Narayan, Kishwar Desai, among many others. You will also be familiar with some of the noted columnists from the northeastern region of India, namely Pabitra Kumar Deka, Humen Boragohai, Dayananda Pathak, Janardhan Goswami, Manoj Goswami, Leena Sharma, Purbi Deka Hazarika, Binita Dev Chaudhary, Arup Kumar Horma, Indrani Raimethi, Mitra Pukon, Patricia Mukhem, Nobarun Guha, Monalisa Chankiza, among many others. Now, there are some important points related to column writing. Let us take a look at the various nuances of column writing. To begin with, you may first figure out the reasons for your writing out a column or its purpose. Next, you must identify your target readers so that your writing can match up with their cognitive or intellectual level accordingly. Then comes the planning part, where you need to decide on the content in your column and how you would organize the information, reflection, perspectives, ideas, questions, etc. Following this preliminary approach to writing a new column, you may look into the literal process involved in writing a good column. Firstly, you need to visit the library and browse the internet resources to begin gathering relevant information that builds on the subject of your column. Make short notes that are handy. Followed by your own study on the chosen topic, sit down to jot down your own ideas and reflections. Now, it is time to pour all the hard work and prior study and reflection into the column. That is why it is always good to read and Reread all the notes and points jotted down in order to work towards a gradual synthesis of the same. Sit down in your own writing space and begin with your first draft in keeping with the general prescribed formats of column writing through your own study. Reread and rewrite your column to your own satisfaction so that it expresses exactly what you would like to convey in a clear, concise, organized, and an effective manner. Therefore, at least 2 to 3 drafts shall polish your writing. At the end of the exercise, you must make it a point to proofread or edit the column once it has gained a definite shape and structure. Here are some few tips and techniques of column writing. First, the column must begin with an apt or suitable title which shall provide readers with a quick idea on the content. It is best to write the column in a freestyle, but first by providing a glimpse of the entire content in the opening paragraph itself. Following this, you may unravel various angles and aspects of your chosen subject or topic in a reader-friendly and interesting way. The column should be clear and concise, while also being informative and thought-provoking so that it captures the interest of the readers and benefits them. Even as the reader skims through the column, he or she should be able to eye all the relevant information and inputs highlighted in it. It is important to stick to the subject or topic of the column without diverting or wavering from it. Thus, one must avoid introducing and elaborating too many ideas into a column which might divert the reader's attention and interest. The writing must be coherent and have a flow throughout so that it makes for an effortless reading. The tone of the column is very important. Can you imagine how a fiery column would be received by the readers? To answer the same, the concerned editor would possibly reject such a column or request the columnist to simply tone down. Therefore, the tone of the column should be proper and be either formal or conversational, depending on the chosen subject or topic. Choosing your words carefully is very important, particularly while penning down a column. The words must aptly describe what the columnist desires to express. The column should not contain colloquial or informal and obsolete words. Long winding sentences and unnecessary explanations must be avoided as well. While using technical words, one must define it in about a line for the ease of the lay readers. It must contain relevant quotes or quotations, while also citing who or from where it is taken in order to capture indirectly what the columnist would like to express. So this is a safe way of expressing oneself. It is extremely important to proofread and edit the drafts of one's column so that it is correct in terms of its grammar, punctuation, use of words, sentence construction, tenses, etc. The final step is to reread the ready column and send or submit the same to the news editor, magazine editor, publisher, etc. for the publication process. It is also important to remember that any editor would reject a column that is not politically correct. Always keep that in mind. Because it may hurt the larger public sentiment or a particular section of the readership. It might create an uproar or incite any form of violence as well. So it is important to be sensitive to some of the various aspects such as gender, color, race, caste, creed, class, sociocultural practices, differences, socially marginalized sections, etc. while writing columns. Further, while writing columns, it is also important to think critically from the reader's point of view as well. At the same time, it does not mean that one must write only what the readers would like to read, but it must come across in a wholesome way. Here is a sample of column. Let us now discuss in details about press release. In simple words, a press release is written or prepared by the publication or dissemination of valid information provided by an established institutional or business organization. Its main aim is press coverage that draws the attention of the media persons and reading public towards the events, activities, statements, decisions, changes, or policies of an organization. The press release provides verified information and a ready reference to the reporters and journalists, thereby reaching the larger public. The beginning of a press release is significant as the first 2 to 3 lines contains a gist of the entire content and simply points to the importance of the title given to the press release. Both the qualities of newsworthiness and timeliness are 2 important aspects to be noted while writing a press release. The first aspect of newsworthiness is important because a piece of news must be worthy of being read and also engage the interest of the larger readership. The second aspect of timeliness is important as press releases are generally time-bound and should be presented as a fresh and updated piece of information. Now let us come to some of the important aspects to consider while writing a press release. Firstly, What should the concerned press release contain in terms of information? Why does the organization require a press coverage? Does the drafted press release meet its expectations? Are the related facts and figures mentioned? Is the provided information relevant and verified? What is the main interesting element in the draft of the press release? Does the title and written text reflect the same? How to highlight this element or present the information in an interesting manner? Will the press release be able to capture the interest of the key targets amongst its larger readership? Whom does the press release target mainly? And has it effectively relayed or conveyed or expressed its core message? Does the press release create a good impression of the concerned organization? Is there any photograph that is relevant to the context and represents the information provided in the press release? Whether the draft of press release has undergone any form of proofreading or editing before being finalized? How much time does one have in hand to complete the task of writing the press release? Let us now discuss a few of the tips and techniques of writing press release so that we get an idea of the nuances of writing a press release. The following points may enable the learner to gain a better idea on the tips and techniques of writing or drafting a press release. Firstly, while writing a press release, which is also known as news release or media release, it is important to mention the same on the top left-hand corner of the text. If the press release is to be released immediately, it should be mentioned thus: for immediate press release, and below it the date, day, month and year of the release should be mentioned. If it is untimely, then one can simply mention news release. The top right hand corner should contain the contact information so that journalists can refer to the same. It is important to ensure that the contact phone numbers mentioned are active and that if the journalists call back, there is someone to respond to the same. A press release must contain a title and, if necessary, a subhead in a line of phrase that further adds to the content expressed in the title. The title of the release is significant as it must hook the reader's attention immediately. It is somewhat similar to the newspaper headlines that provides a quick glimpse or idea of the news content. In case of the press release, the inverted pyramid style that we had discussed earlier is to be used in order to present and organize the required information. The opening paragraph should address the following aspects, such as the 5 W's, which we talked about earlier, the what, when, where, why and who, as well as the aspect of how. It should include all the relevant highlights of the release, and the facts should be clearly reflected at the beginning itself. The highlighted facts and information can be elaborated or explained in the paragraphs that follow the opening of the release. However, the writing must be concise and not run into lengthy explanations that would take away the reader's interest. The press release should be crisp and concise, highlighting the necessary information clearly. It should not be verbose or be written in ornamented language. No one has the time to read such a press release or the interest. And nor should it contain long-winding sentences and unnecessary information. The press release must also contain short quotes from the concerned spokesperson of an organization that basically captures the opinion or provides his or her insights, which the lay reader can easily grasp. While quoting, just the title of the spokesperson and the complete name of the respective organization must be mentioned. It is important to follow the standard practice of referring to the style book for common usage of grammar, punctuation, spellings, tone, journalistic terms, etc. The press release should basically be written in 1 or 2 pages. In case it turns into 2 pages, one must mention more so that it is well indicated to the reader. It should be edited and proofread in order to avoid any form of language errors, as this may lead to a poor impression and, if not written clearly, can lead to misinterpretation as well. A well-written press release covers all the important information or decision as well as significant events of an organization. Also, there can be an inclusion of a short paragraph before the conclusion that reflects or highlights the brief information about the organization. This is also referred to as the boilerplate in a press release. At the end of the press release, it should be mentioned either as N or the following marks should be provided so that it is indicated that the text is complete. In case there is a photograph included, then it must be relevant to the information provided in the press release, which is also referred to as the photo opportunity. It is also necessary to send the ready press release to the concerned press reporters or journalists so that you can be sure that they have received it for immediate coverage. The rest of the stuff they will take care of, and they would also molded in their own format. The press release is an official document and therefore is more structured than a regular column. So this is the standard practice of a press release. Now here is a sample of press release. It differs from one organization to the other. Always remember that. Let us highlight the significance and role of the press, particularly the Indian press. The press plays a significant role in the dissemination of information and knowledge, as well as in directing the progress and development of a nation at large. As Madhuk highlights, quote-unquote, a free and fearless press is vital to the survival and smooth functioning of democracy. It has a special role to play in creating public awareness through information, education, and persuasion. It influences and educates voters, canalizes public opinion, leads to informed debates on important national and international issues of concern, and aids the administration through its wide information network. The high ideal of plurality of thought and expression is meaningless without it. The learner will be interested to know that during the Indian freedom struggle, the national press had played a major role towards awakening and enlightening the consciousness of the Indian masses. Some of the leading lights of the national struggle for freedom were Swami Dayanand Saraswati, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Lokmanya Tilak, Swami Vivekananda, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Annie Besant, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, and Subhash Chandra Bose, among several others. They had pressed for people's righteous thought and action through their opinion writings, in order to free the country from the clutches of foreign rule and to lead it towards independence. Such is the power of the press and the influence of opinion writings. In a newspaper, you will find that the editorial page contains columns of different kinds. For instance, the main editorial portion is also referred to as lead. Other columns contain main, special, or small articles. A middle column that contains humorous article is also there, followed by letters to the editors. You would do well to open up a daily newspaper and open the editorial page to see how columns in it are organized. Sometimes, the front pages of the newspaper also highlights signed editorial columns written by the editor of a newspaper, mostly on a special occasion or for an important reason. So once again, a column expresses one's opinions, reflections, and perspectives that is supported by verified facts, relevant information, constructive ideas, and intelligent examples for the readers. So we come to the end of this module. From this module, we have learned about two forms of writings, that is column writing and press release. This module mostly highlighted the importance of news writing, the significant role of the press, and some of the noted Indian columnists, while also introducing the various types and aspects, impact and influence, writing tips and techniques. It is with practice that one can acquire the skill of writing good columns and press releases. Thank you, dear learners.